Since morning, I've not gone to work. I'm still here. We just suddenly woke up and found out that there's a queue. Every filling station is not selling, not dispensing. So we don't actually know what the problem is.
Panic buying, fueling fuel queues. Motorists and marketers make claims.
I appeal to ASU and I appeal to them once more that the fact that this thing is being looked into means you should work. You should go back to your work.
The ASU strike saga, what needs to give? We have an update.
I want to commit myself to this call and to this movement of Nigerians from all walks of life
to realize that my efforts are being noticed by you Nigerians is very humbling.
Tonight also, more political gladiators pick forms for the top job in the land. Welcome to NTA Network News. We are reaching you live from Abuja. I am Kene Ima Aburike and Michael Olaleyan is standing by in Lagos. You can follow this news broadcast live on our website, nta.ng/live, and all our social media platforms displayed on the screen for updates. President Muhammadu Buhari says for humanity to be saved from starvation and planet preserved for future generations, the international community must demonstrate enough political will and commitment towards restoring 1 billion hectares of land by 2030. Speaking at the 15th Conference of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification in Abuja, Côte d'Ivoire, the president, however, warned that without a peaceful world, the problems of drought and desertification cannot be tackled effectively. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The UN Conference on the Future of Land Stewardship is themed Land, Life, Legacy from Scarcity to Prosperity. It is convened against the backdrop of a stark warning issued recently that up to 40% of the ice-free land is already degraded, with their consequences for climate, biodiversity and livelihoods. The leaders are here to create political momentum and raise ambition in meeting the 2030 global commitment on restoration and robust actions that build the resilience of communities that are vulnerable to drought. President Muhammadu Buhari, who spoke in a closed session, enumerated various initiatives aimed at tackling the problem of desert encroachment and sustainably manage the environment, said 6.1 million hectares of land had already been forested as part of efforts to increase the nation's forest cover by 25%. Nigeria, he said, remains committed to global aspirations of a healthy and productive society. Tackling the problems of drought and desertification collectively, the president, however, said cannot be achieved without a peaceful world. He therefore called for a ceasefire and cessation of conflicts where they exist, especially the Russia-Ukraine war. All the parties, President Buhari emphasized, must return to the negotiation table with a view to putting an end to what he called the needless conflict. Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyema speaks on the major takeaways from the summit.
All the countries are fully on board. We also had, virtual interventions by the President Macron of France and the Foreign Minister of China, Wang Yi, and also the former Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, shared their experiences on, the steps that they were all taking to fight desertification and desert encroachment. Mr. President also just looked at the global economic challenges in that context and talked about the importance of also recharging Lake Chad. The key thing is really the political will and, investing then the money needed, the coordination and the policy steps that are needed.
President Muhammadu Buhari is already back in Abuja. Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Earlier, President Muhammadu Buhari formally extracted the commitment of development partners, including the United Nations, to support Africa's drive towards addressing challenges associated with desert encroachment and drought through the Great Green Wall Initiative. This was at a select meeting he convened with critical stakeholders in Abuja, Côte d'Ivoire, in his capacity as president, Conference of Heads of State and Government of the Pan-African Great Green Wall Agency. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo again has the details.
President Muhammadu Buhari had told the international development partners that the Pan-African Great Green Wall bloc, comprising Nigeria and 10 other countries, is facing dire and present danger due to the devastating effect of desertification and drought. This, he said, is impacting negatively on the security of their communities and the livelihood of the people, hence the urgent need to confront these challenges head-on.
It is on this note that on behalf of member states, I welcome the One Planet Summit initiative that pledges 19 billion United States dollars to support the activities of the Pan-African Great Green Wall, which necessitated this very important engagement with you this morning. The purpose of this meeting, therefore, is to inform you formally that member states want to trigger the process for accessing the funding by utilizing the Great Green Wall Accelerator window.
The window, he explained, is mainly to address, amongst others, land restoration and tree planting, investment in small and medium-sized farms, develop climate resilience infrastructure, as well as institutional framework to enhance security, stability, and governance.
It is my hope that the parties to this meeting, especially the World Bank, African Development Bank, and the One Planet Summit initiative will give us maximum cooperation in this regard and make good their pledge to support Africa's drive to addressing these climate challenges.
Participants at the meeting, including the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Amina Mohammed, commended President Buhari for the unprecedented commitment in driving the Pan-African Great Green Wall agenda and promised desired support and assistance towards achieving the said objectives.
What we really need to see is for the Secretariat to address the programs that you have just talked to at the scale and with a sense of urgency and the partnerships that we have so that we can access the commitments that have been made by the One Planet Summit.
We would like to see these pledges transformed into action on the ground. The Great Green Wall is really a source of inspiration. We have not seen something like that in other parts of the world. So it's a real sense of leadership, and I hope that all partners will recognize that.
France is very interested by this African initiative, and we encourage the international community to support it more.
I would like to reiterate the bank's commitment to working with you to achieve our collective vision of transforming the Great Green Wall initiative into a powerful investment program for regreening the Sahel and for changing the narrative of the region.
The meeting resolved to set up a task team to work with the Pan-African Great Green Wall Agency to chart the best way forward, while a meeting of the Council of Ministers of Member States is soon to be convened by the Minister of Environment, Mohamed Abdullahi, towards deepening the outcome of the just concluded meeting at the instance of President Muhammadu Buhari. From Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says it is clear that the post-COVID-19 economic recovery strategy for Africa must go beyond the individual efforts that are made in different countries. He emphasizes the need for the increased collaboration and integration of efforts to drive sustainable economic growth across the African continent. This was when the Vice President represented President Muhammadu Buhari at the opening of the first Conference of Speakers and Heads of African Parliaments. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
First ever Conference of Speakers and Heads of African Parliaments is convened by Nigerian's Speaker, House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, in conjunction with that of Rwanda, Kenya, Senegal, and Ethiopia. Others include speakers of Ghana and South Africa. The theme, Enhancing Africa's Post-COVID Economic Recovery through Parliamentary Leadership, aims to explore means and measures for catalyzing an inclusive and sustainable economic recovery process for African countries in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The pandemic exposed our vulnerability. The vulnerability
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo describes this collaboration as commendable.
Truly, the journey to a sustainable post-COVID economic recovery is laden with much responsibility for our governments. All hands must be on deck to ensure that from the impact of the pandemic to even greater heights. We must build strong collaborative partnerships across the aisles in our parliaments, with our judiciary, with the executive, with the private sector, and civil society. And if we learned anything at all on COVID-19 and its aftermath, it is that no nation, no institution, no group, no individual can succeed alone.
He also wants Africa to improve vaccination and produce own vaccines.
But social protection is no longer a left-leaning idea. It's no longer a socialist idea. It has become fundamental to human development. So I think our legislators need champions for social development programs. And I'm sure that we'll find those champions.
Let us commit ourselves to using the tools of parliamentary diplomacy and authority to set our continent irreversibly on the path to a future of honorable peace and abiding prosperity for all.
The Conference of Speakers and Heads of African Parliaments aims to provide platform for discussion and action by African Parliament to advocate more effective approaches in public financial and economic management, as well as to develop strategies for tackling related issues of common concern and solutions on a wider continental scale. In Abuja, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
As part of efforts to ensure sustainability and transparency of the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, JIP 2.0, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is training program managers and master trainers on digitization of the scheme. Ruth Aguela reports that the ministry is in partnership with the National Orientation Agency to achieve effective results.
Something to come buy and put in my table, but there was no money. Now I have the 10,000. I'm very, very glad.
The Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, JIP 2.0, under the National Social Investment Programs, has continued to empower beneficiaries under the clusters of trader money, market money, and farmers' money, with a non-interest loan across the country. As part of efforts to overhaul the scheme, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is training program managers and master trainers on digitization of JIP 2.0 processes and enhanced registration policies for effective delivery.
This year's training will provide a comprehensive framework for the enhancement of the beneficiary registration, processes, implementation of digital transformation, the program delivery through JIP 2.0 lifespan.
Ask all the relevant questions that you think can add value. And wherever there are gray areas, do not sit on such gray areas. Bring them out so that at the end of the 3-day exercise, you will be better equipped.
Relax and become a poor and vulnerable bottom of the pyramid friendly bank. Support our team to make sure that we can access these people. Repayment is a function of efficiency and success.
With increased modalities of the scheme already in place, especially increase in the amount of loan to beneficiaries, effective implementation is expected to achieve the desired mandate. In Abuja, Ruth Aguela, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari congratulates Ambassador Sunday Dogonyaro, former Nigeria's ambassador to Sao Tome and Principe, on the occasion of his 70th birthday. The president joins family, friends and well-wishers in celebrating one of the country's finest diplomats who served in several Nigerian missions, including the United Kingdom and South Africa, before retiring meritoriously as a public servant. The president recognizes Ambassador Dogonyaro's outstanding contributions to the Nigerian Foreign Service and passion for the development of Africa. The president commends the strategic thinker, management expert, trainer, and co-founder of African Policy Research Institute and a recipient of the National Honor of Officer Order of the Niger, OON, and praised that a Zulu-born diplomat enjoys more years of health and happiness in the service of God and humanity. You're watching the NTA Network News. We'll take a break now. More news when we return. To stay with us. Welcome back. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC, has noted the sudden appearance of fuel queues in parts of Abuja. A statement by Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division, Garba Dean Mohammed, says this is likely due to low loadout at depots, which usually happens during long public holidays, in this case, the Salah celebrations. He, however, noted that the NNPC and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, in conjunction with marketing partners, have taken necessary measures to ramp up loadouts from all depots. The NNPC assures residents of the FCT and indeed all Nigerians that it has ample local supplies and national stock in excess of 2.5 billion litres with sufficiency of more than 43 days. The NNPC also advised motorists not to engage in panic buying as supplies are adequate and will become increasingly evident in the coming days. Of course, petrol queues have resurfaced in most petrol stations in Abuja, with motorists lamenting productive hours spent in search of petrol. Lydia Sampson reports.
Bamidele Joseph is an estate surveyor. Top on his plan for the day was to go straight to the office, but alas, he said, the more than 3 hours he would have deployed to productive means were lost waiting on the queue for fuel.
Well, since morning, I've not gone to work. I'm still here. We just suddenly woke up and found out that there's a queue. Every filling station is not selling, not dispensing. So we don't actually know what the problem is.
He's not alone. His story resonates with Felix Chuku, a businessman.
I have so many places to go. I can't be able to even achieve anything right now. Until I buy this fuel, I'll continue my journey.
It is even worse for people whose business depend on petrol. Ironically, different strokes for different folks. Abubakar Umar is a black marketer. I was taken aback when he approached me declaring that he's a black marketer, obviously seeing nothing wrong with his line of business.
I buy for generator tank, I go turn am for gala.
He says he's a shoe seller in Wuse Market. However, it is usually more profitable for him and other black market fuel dealers when there is fuel scarcity. Some of the black marketers deploy motorcycles, also known as Okada. They empty their fuel tanks to them and rejoin the queues again.
Not up to a month we came out of this, so why are we back into it?
The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC, and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority say they are already on top of the situation. For independent petroleum marketers, it is simply about the high cost of diesel and doing business.
A lot of people cannot even fuel their trucks.
They are optimistic that with a holistic approach, the queues will disappear soon. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Joining me in the studio to discuss some of the issues raised on Fuel Scarcity Update Report is independent petroleum marketer Umar Jada. You're welcome to Network News.
Thank you very much.
Aside the panic buying, which of course has become the official response nowadays, what else is responsible for this panic buying, or do we say the return of queues at our petrol stations, particularly in the FCT?
Yeah, for now we see the appearance of the queues as inshallah something that is very, very temporary, because it came because of the break. You know, we were having some issues some times back, so which has virtually been resolved but not fully resolved. So and then all of us, so to say, took it for granted, especially maybe the trucking system and the other aspect of maybe the loadings and the rest, even though for those loading and the rest are always there to do the loadings. But if at all there are no trucks for loading, because if you can see most of the marketers or maybe the truckers always join each other in celebrating, celebrations like either maybe Salah or Christmas or whatsoever. So all of us took it for granted, and everybody went for a break, and that was part of it. And then secondly, as you said, panic buying is there, because you can see most of the motorists, I'm sure if you can go to a particular filling station, maybe put in a cars and then close it. If you check, which we did today, over 80% of those cars has enough that will take them 1, 2, or 3 days, but yet...
But they want to be double sure.
Exactly, because they...
All right. You've talked something that really touches us here because majorly the transportation of petroleum products in our country is done on the roads by tankers, through tankers, so to speak. How is that affecting the cost of doing business? Taking it alongside the fact that the issue of bridging cost for marketers is also necessary.
You know that it has always been a Herculean task doing such businesses in this condition. As you said, if you can see, even though the major component of a transporting system is the diesel, but it's not only the diesel. We have the spare parts, things like that. So it's more or less like a multi-edged sword, not even maybe a double-edged sword. The thing is that for you to get, apart from the diesel, which has been skyrocketing because of the world economic instability.
Okay, now let's go over to the cost of diesel, which is a major challenge globally now. Since it is still regulated, how can the industry navigate this for seamless product supply?
Yeah, for us to get it right, first of all, we have to be independent in terms of refining capacity. So because if I told you cannot refine, you is somebody who dictates your pricing. So in that case, you hardly get it right. So you have to like get the refining capacity. You have the crude and you have the refining capacity. At least maybe there are some things that will be done inwards. Then maybe later on you look for your under recovery or whatsoever. But now that you are buying it directly from somebody, he dictates to you how you sell or how much you sell. You can't do otherwise.
We'd like to thank you for coming to the studio tonight.
Thank you very much. I'm very good.
We'll be speaking with independent petroleum marketer Umaru Jada. The rising cost of aviation fuel from 160 to 350 naira and now 700 naira per litre seems to be grossly affecting the aviation sector. Airline operations continue despite this toll on costs, but experts and passengers worry over the long-term implications of this development. Moplang Dakok reports.
Aircrafts consume the most fuel of all modes of transportation. And this is no hearsay, as experts in the aviation business confirm that an average aircraft consumes 2,508 liters of fuel every hour. It is a volume to worry any airline operator when the price of aviation fuel takes flight. Records reveal that the price of aviation fuel, also known as Jet A1 fuel, increased from 350 naira in March this year to now 700 naira per litre.
And at 700 naira per litre, there's no airline that can break even.
Using dollars to import aviation fuel, PMS, and other things. When I talk about subsidy, there's no subsidy on aviation fuel.
Despite the scarcity and resultant high prices, airline operators have now suspended the proposed shutdown of local aviation activities in the country. The sector is still searching for a comfortable altitude for its customers and general operations.
What government can do immediately, in my opinion, is that they should license any high net worth individual or company that would like to import this product directly from Russia, where we can get it cheap.
The increase in aviation fuel has resulted in hike in the price of air tickets nationwide.
I am worried generally about everything in Nigeria now. It's not just flight tickets that is going up. Price of food is going up.
Actually, the price of the ticket currently have increased more than 100%. Like I used to travel to Lagos and Akwa Ibom. Maximally before it was 26,000, 25,000. But now, the least I paid is 50,000 naira.
Data from the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has shown that Nigeria's air transport market experienced an encouraging rebound in 2021 despite COVID-19. It is a trajectory many will be curious to know if the country will sustain. In Abuja, Moplang Dakok, NTA News.
Musa Abubakar is ready with our business news.
Okay, thank you, Kene. CBN Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has said that the e-Naira was one of the major ways of strengthening the payment system infrastructure of the country, assuring that the Apex Bank will always invest in high-tech projects that will boost Nigeria's global competitiveness. He stated this when hosting a delegation from the Bank of Uganda that was in Nigeria for an experience sharing tour of the central bank digital currency.
The International Monetary Fund and the World Bank recognizes what we're doing in the area of CBDC. And we feel happy because we know that Nigeria has deepened its payment system infrastructure today to the extent that we can pride ourselves.
The CBDC was launched in October 2021 by President Muhammadu Buhari, and MFLA noted that it has the potential of swelling Nigeria's gross domestic product GDP by $29 billion over the next 10 years. The Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment is engaging stakeholders in the petroleum sector and the Ministry of Justice with a view to interpreting the role of weight and measures in the oil and gas sector amid the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act.
I wish to emphasize that the role of the Weights and Measures Department in the oil and gas sector is to certify and verify instruments used in dispensing oil and liquefied petroleum gas. The department equally issues initial verification certificates, re-verification certificates, and pattern approvals for equipment used in dispensing oil and LPG.
While the Minister of Petroleum Resources superintends over the sector that laid the golden egg for the sustenance of our economy, the Federal Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, on the other hand, promotes investment and growth of the sector in all ramifications.
The Ministry of Trade and Investment should consider a small technical team that will sit down with the implementation working group to go through the relevant acts. That's both the PIA and the Weights and Measures Act, so that we can have a definite landing on where issues are.
Now to capital market equities. Market closed Monday's trading session on a positive note. The all share index climbed 1.90% at 51,902.48 basis points. A market capitalization at 27.9 trillion naira. 337.5 billion shares, value at 5.5 billion naira, were traded in 7,684 deals. Transcorp Guarantee Trust Holding Company PLC and Zenith Bank were the most active stocks. Now there's business news. It's time now to join Michael in Lagos for more reports. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Musa. Domestic airline operations are no longer suspended as threatened by the operators, but there seems to be distortion in flight schedules as passengers complained of delay and cancellation of their flight. I was at the Murtala Mohammed Airport earlier today to capture the development. The skies are gradually beaming blue after days of weathering the storm of suspension that was threatened by airline operators. But behind the scene are chains of challenges from hike in fare to flight delay. I caught up with Benson Oweguru, who tends to be fortunate with the price of tickets, having booked ahead, but troubled due to the rescheduling of flights for more than 5 hours.
I'm supposed to have a meeting in Abuja, and you can see I'm still here. In fact, I'm from Ibadan. If I had traveled this morning by road, I'm sure I would have been about in Abuja.
The story is the same for most passengers as the hope of getting to their destination becomes sleep.
I have to wait for 3 hours before I get on my flight, so I don't know how that works because I'm exhausted.
For some travelers, pricing is still a major issue due to what they described as an unprecedented hike. But beyond the increase in the price of aviation fuel, others say the industry is in desperate need of help.
But now, 50, 60, that is what you are seeing on the seat. And how do you want people to survive on such price? It's too much. At least some people want to travel, but they cannot make it because of the price.
It means that business is going to be frustrated. Life is going to be, because the roads are not secured. People are going to be frustrated traveling out. It's going to affect business seriously.
You know how much we're losing at revenue with things like this happening? I mean, something has to be done to put things right.
With the present status of operations as of today, optimism is high that passengers will not only increase in the coming days, but flight schedules will be normalized to reflect the present reality. The West African Examinations Council (WAEC) has reverted to its former calendar May-June for the conduct of this year's West Africa Senior School Certificate Examination after it was distorted by the coronavirus pandemic. Head of the Nigeria National Office disclosed that the examination will commence from 16th May to 23rd June 2022. Kenya DBC has details.
After the closure of the registration portal, a total of 1,607,985 candidates are set to sit for the 2022 West African Senior School Certificate Examination across the country, except candidates from Zamfara and Sokoto state government-owned schools.
Out of this number, 855 are males, comprising 49.76%, while 724 are females, comprising 50.24% of the total candidature for the examination. Candidates will be examined in 76 subjects, made up of 197 papers.
Giving more details on the preparedness of the examination body, the head of the Nigerian National Office of the West African Examination Council (WAEC) says the council is not oblivious to the current realities: COVID-19 pandemic, insecurity, and corruption. All of this, the body has factored into its preparations.
There are many flashpoints all over the country, and conducting examinations in such areas will require extra security arrangement. Accordingly, we are liaising with the Inspector General of Police and the various state governments to provide security in order to ensure that the examination is conducted under a very secure and safe environment. I therefore want to make it categorically clear that no candidate was denied registration as a result of non-submission of name.
Sounding a note of warning to those who engage in examination malpractices, WAEC says it would not hesitate to use the long arm of the law. In Lagos, Kendi Adebisi, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time for some messages. The news continues shortly. Please stay.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's now talk politics. President of the 9th Senate, Ahmad Lawan, is among the latest people that picked up the APC presidential nomination and the expression of interest forms. Salihu Gwanara gives us update from the International Conference Center, venue of the sale of APC forms.
It is the second week since the All Progressives Congress commenced the critical pre-election processes, and the atmosphere here is full of political activities. Senate President Ahmad Lawan, Minister of State Petroleum Timi Priseva, President of the African Development Bank Adewumi Adeshina were among the latest aspirants that picked up the party's presidential nomination and expression of interest forms.
Senate President Ahmed Lawan has spent 100 million naira to purchase a We know what we have been able to achieve as an administration and as a political party, and we know where we are supposed to take this level to eventually. I want to commit myself to this movement of Nigerians from all walks of life, north, south, east, west. This is our journey.
Representatives and supporters of the aspirant say APC has the required party men and women to consolidate on the gains of the party's leadership.
From his antecedents, from state level to the federal level, and you can see what is happening in his Ministry of Petroleum, and we have the confidence in him.
Everybody in Nigeria knows that Adeshina has the capacity to bring Nigeria back from the brink.
We are actually seeing the capacity and the competence of these new members of the National Working Committee in conducting the exercise. So it's a very exciting moment, but it's a more exciting thing for me personally, because this form that I just submitted was purchased for me by the common people in Nasarawa State.
Sales and submission of forms are going on simultaneously as aspirants work to meet up with the deadline. From the International Conference Center in Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the chief whip of the Senator and Senator representing Abia North Senatorial District, Senator Ojo Zakala, has withdrawn from the 2023 presidential race. The former governor of Abia State, in a statement, said he had to withdraw from the race, hence the All Progressives Congress did not zone the position to the southeast. He announced his support for the president of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, who is from the northeast of the zones that has not occupied the presidential position alongside the southeast. He urged his friends to also support the presidential ambition of Senator Lawan, who he described as his friend. Meanwhile, Senator Kala has picked tickets to recontest for Abia North senatorial seat in 2023. Now, despite the purchase of nomination and expression of interest forms by supporters for the #1 office in the country on the platform of the APC, Minister of State Petroleum Resources Chief Timothy Silva says he needs to consult further before taking a position on whether accepting the call or declining it. Mayor Ogede reports that the supporters, however, presented the forms to him at the NNPC Towers, Abuja.
This is the NNPC Tower, Abuja. Minister of State Petroleum goes for presidency under APC. Sea of supporters here purchased the 100 million nomination and expression of interest forms.
People of Nigeria have purchased for you to come and contest in the primaries of our great party APC.
It's a golden opportunity. But for Silva, wait a minute.
To realize that my efforts are being noticed by you Nigerians is very humbling. Thank you, sir. And I must also say, very shocking. So what I will do now, I will not give you a straightaway answer right now, but I'm really thankful for what you have done.
Thank you, sir.
Because I need to consult.
Thank you, sir.
I need to consult my constituency.
Thank you, sir.
And consult leaders of this country.
Yes, sir.
And then I'll come back to you.
Thank you very much, sir.
To let you know if I have taken the position also to run for this office.
Mohamed Abaji and his friends and those from the National Assembly not discouraged because they are optimistic that on Silva there is a silver lining in 2023. Mayor Ogede, NTA News.
As the 2023 general elections draw nearer, the Director of Operations, Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, Shehu Muazu Haruna, has expressed his interest to contest in the KB South Senatorial District election. This was revealed in Zulu Town, where thousands of his supporters received him and took to the streets to show their support and acceptance to the move. Usman Abdullahi Shehu reports.
Anybody with fair knowledge of happenings within the political cycle of Kebbi South Senatorial District knows that a fresh representation, most especially at the upper chamber of the National Assembly, is what they pray to have as 2023 general election approaches. Zuru Town was recently charged politically when Shehu Muazu Haruna took to the major streets to acknowledge cheers from his teeming supporters and others alike as he declared his interest to contest the APC Kebbi South Senatorial seat come 2023. The aspirant, who was the chairman Abuja Rice Pyramids, shared with NTA his motivation.
We have been yearning for representation, and we have been supporting people in the past. And we have come to the conclusion that, look, we need to get into that place and do the best that our people requires. That is what motivates me.
He speaks on the likely changes sons and daughters of the South Senatorial District are to see should he be opportune to represent them at the National Assembly.
My legislative interest is going to focus on national security, agriculture and food security. I'm going to focus on youth empowerment and employment. Inshallah, there are so many safety social intervention programs that the present government has initiated. I want to see that those intervention programs have been gazetted, or we have passed law that will institutionalize them in the system for the benefit of the common Nigerian man.
Some of his political associates and others alike have this to say on his senatorial candidature.
He's a man of caliber, he has patience, and he's a gentleman. We believe he will deliver the goods to us.
A very good development. I have seen success in the movement, and inshallah we are going to get to the promised land.
Typical of political gathering of this nature, key players were at their best in displaying the game. In Zuru, Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA News.
Fighting insecurity and improving on the nation's economy will be part of the thrust of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar if elected as Nigeria's president next year. The presidential aspirant was speaking at a consultative meeting with the People's Democratic Party delegates in Akure. Olushola Komolafe reports.
As the race for 2023 presidential election odds up, more aspirants are showing interest to become the next president of Nigeria. Former vice president and aspirant of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, in his quest to become the next president, solicits support from the party's delegates in Ondo State, as with a promise to unify Nigerians.
My number one priority is to unify this country. I will be fair to every part of this country. I will give a sense of belonging to every part of this country.
Chairman of the party in Ondo State, Fatai Adams, and other party leaders assured Atiku Abubakar that the delegates will compensate him with their votes.
You are a true nationalist.
The PDP National Convention to elect their presidential candidates is expected to hold on 28th and 29th of May 2022. In Akure, Olushola Komolafe, NTA News.
We take another break. When we return, more news. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, has again appealed to the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, not to continue to heat up the system as the matter is being looked into by the federal government through the Interministerial Committee headed by Professor Nimi Briggs, which has submitted their report on the renegotiation to the Ministry of Education. Ngige was reacting to the 3-month extension to the ongoing strike by the ASU, which he said was not necessary as its ground standing is against every labour law which forbids the union to continue to be on strike when its matter is being considered.
From my understanding, the Ministry of Education is addressing the request from Professor Nimi Briggs. Professor Nimi Briggs' committee has also met with ASU leadership. They have also met non-academic staff unions. We have also brought those people back here last week, Thursday, Friday, to look into their demands. And we have done so. And done a work plan with timelines for the assuaging and implementation of their demands. Some of them overlap with that of the ASU.
Ngige said although he is just a conciliator, but the Ministry of Labour, which is ASU's direct employer, has received the report of the committee where there was a request to add 1 or 2 parastatals for effective resolution. That does it tonight on NTA Network News. Many thanks for watching. And do remember to stand with the NTA in the fight against rape and rapists. I am Kenen Ima Abodikem. Good night.